Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial, and in this one I'm really excited about. This is how to make a Zelda style push block trap. As you can see, I've got a skull here, and the object is to move one of the 4 blocks into one eye and the same with the other. But as you can see here, this is a multi-texture block, that one's a script block, so 2 of them are scripts, 2 of them are multi-texture, so one of them won't work. Now I have a zone set, and I have it just set very low because you don't need it to be up here, but whenever they enter the zone, it runs a looping check on the player, which allows them to push the block. And when they leave, it resets the entire room. So like if the door is open, and maybe this block was here, once they leave the zone, everything will reset, as you can see. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'll get right into the scripts. But anyway, they enter and it allows them to push, and you pretty much just slide in the block. Now this is a little bit, it's not exactly how Zelda had it set up, in that players can push it diagonally, which there's not really a check for because you can't set a definite X and Z coordinate. You just set based on the player's view, which I'm using HV relative, which is horizontal view. So even if they're looking up and they're walking in front of the block, it still lets you push it, or it should, because it counts the XYZ around where it is. But anyway, I have the script checking if it's offset at their waist and checking offset for if they're crouching, so their faces too. So once they push it to both of the eyes, it turns on some sound blocks, and the door opens. And then once they leave the zone, the door will close after 2 seconds. And so anyway, I have my script blocks, or the sound blocks, under here. You could do scripted sound, but I find that the blocks actually load up all the time, and scripted sound doesn't do that 100% of the time. But anyway, to do that, I have 3 different ones. I have one that resets the room and cancels the looping event. I have one that checks for the door, and then I have one that activates when they enter the zone. So the one that activates if they enter the zone, the first chunk is you check if the block in front of them, which is HVREL 100, if that's a script block, and you also want to check the block 2 blocks away, or on the other side of the script block, so HVREL 200. If that one's none, so if both of these are true, it will move the script block to where the none was. Then it waits a second, then it will check the door, which is why it did the notes and then the door opened. So, and then it will loop. So if none of that is true, so this is if the player's crouching, and if they're standing, I did the same exact thing except for the relative coordinates is 1, -1, 0. That is because the 0, 0, 0 is right where they're looking at, where their face is. So we have to check where the bottom half of the player is. That's why we do -1 here. But other than that, it's the same as this chunk right here, just move down in an else if. Then we also check else, which is like them either they're looking at the script block and the wall is on the other side of it, so they couldn't push it, or they're not looking at a script block. It'll wait a second and it will loop. I put it as a second because that way they're not able to just push right across the room and then it end up glitching into the wall or something by an accidental check. And the alias for this, I just put block puzzle 1, so keep that in mind when you're referencing it, like I did the open door check for this. Okay, the next script is going to be the open the door one, to check if the puzzle's done. So as you see, the alias is open door check. First it checks, are the 2 script blocks above where the eyes are, where it should be. So if both of that is true, then it just sets all those panes that I set for the door to none, which you can easily set by clearing your change log, breaking all the blocks you want to break, and then new script from change log, it will actually have the set block coordinate none, and then you just copy that and paste it into this script. Then I commit. That forces the game to refresh the graphics. So if I didn't commit, there might be a chance where only 2 of the blocks broke because there was so many scripts going so fast, it just bugged out. So I commit to make sure that all the blocks have gone. Then I wait just a tiny bit. Then I turn on the first sound block, wait a tiny bit, turn on the second, and repeat for the third. That way it gives it 3 different notes instead of them all playing at the same time. The notes aren't too important, I just put it there so players can hear when they're done. Then I wait half a second, turn them all off, because if I don't turn the sounds off, they're going to keep looping and looping forever until they get turned off. And then else I did nothing. The next script we need is to cancel it when they leave the zone. First thing it does is it cancels the block puzzle script, which is the one that lets them push. Then this next chunk, it closes the door. It waits 2 seconds, that way if the player's walking through the door, it doesn't close right on them. Because if a block is placed on a player, the player gets priority and the block is not spawned, so the door would be open forever. So I wait 2 seconds to give the player a chance to walk out the door, which is a generous amount of time for that. But it sets the panes, and then it gives it the 16 for the texture. And then it commits, which refreshes the graphics again. And then I do the reset the room, which I just cleared the whole room by using the markers and changelog. Then I set the multi-texture block and the script blocks where they need to be, and commit. And then that's all it is to it to make this room working. And then of course I hid the sound blocks down here so nobody sees them, but since they're close they can still hear it. But as I leave, the door closes and the blocks would reset like normally. And also, if they push it up against a wall, it's not going to go into the wall. It's stuck here unless they figured out that you can push diagonally. Then you can kind of glitch it out by pushing it like that. But there's not really a check I can do for that, because again, there's no definite it has to be on a straight corner, because it pushes it based on the view relative. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you make your dungeons a little bit more unique and your puzzles just amazing.